everybody, and welcome to another episode of Every Day's a Trainwreck. I'm your host, Marley Major, and we are going to dish the tea, talk the trash, whatever you want to call it, tonight as we get ready for the Golden Bachelor finale. And I can't even tell you, I have like the best person ever to discuss this with and come up with like kind of the 5 key things that you need to have at to make any event great. But we're going to be applying it to the Golden Bachelor finale. And so I've got Kimmy Seltzer on with me. Welcome to the podcast, Kimmy. Kimmy is a dating coach, and she's going to tell us all kinds of fabulous stuff about her background and how she got into this. So, Kimmy, let's dish.
Oh my gosh, it's so great to be here. Thanks for having me. What a perfect topic too, about having a party. I mean, I'm all about that, especially when it comes to dating.
Yes, right? Yes. Before we jump into the details of the Golden Bachelor, because I think I have so much to say on the subject, first of all, and I'm kind of addicted even when, it was Jerry, but he was
Gary,
spelled Gary, or Gary, but spelled Jerry. Yeah.
It looks like Jerry. Yeah.
Right. So I want to get into a little bit about your background, though, if you can share that, and then we'll start dishing about the Bachelor.
Oh my gosh, how long do we have? Because I have a long story.
Well, this one will make kind of short because then I'm going to have you back, and then we're going to do the long one.
Okay. Well, because I come from my own hot mess, as we all do. But I will say, in a professional manner, I call myself actually a dating strategist, a confidence therapist, and image expert. I know that's kind of a mouthful to say.
Right.
I really have this holistic approach in helping people look and feel their best so that they attract love in their life. Often people will come to me and they'll say, Kimmy, find me a man, find me a woman. But really in the end, often they find themselves right within, which ultimately attracts love. So that's kind of my official little pitch. Yeah.
And you and I have been talking for a while about doing this and getting together and taping a podcast. And it's like one thing after another. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, the finale of the Golden Bachelor is next week. We've got to get this podcast out and up so that the listeners can have these great tips to plan a watch party. But tell me, what are your thoughts on this whole Golden Bachelor phenomenon? I mean, I would assume a little bit that's your target audience, right? As far as who you're matching up.
Oh my God, it's not a little bit. It's most of it. So no, it's a direct match. That's why I'm so glad you had me on. In fact, it's funny because I just started a new podcast called Dating Real Talk, and we're literally breaking down each episode of the Golden Bachelor.
I love it.
I mean, again, how much time do we have? But yeah, well, I loved when it first came out in the first episode because my specialty has been to teach both men and women how to be a better later dater. And it was the first show that we really saw some attention around this. I mean, we're the most growing population. Yet there hasn't been enough reality shows. And it was really what you saw on TV happens in real life. I do dating retreats. In fact, I have one this week, and I've been doing this process forever. And I just love that it's finally showing what happens. And a lot of the things that you see on the show definitely happens in real life, and the way that the women bond, because, often the community or the lack of community is there.
Right.
Just also how to navigate dating in the later years. It's definitely different than when you were in your 20s and everyone was swimming in the same pond together. I mean, there's just so many layers. But most of all, we've all had trauma. We've all had different things that have come up later in life, and trying to sort out who kind of is the right partner for you this time around is super important. So I love it.
Well, and it's different. I mean, as you say, it's different, but it's interesting to me. I watched the first Golden Bachelor. Totally. I've been watching this one.
Yeah.
And it's what's interesting to me is not like I'm 1,000 years old, not like they're 1,000 years old, but it's not like anybody's first boyfriend, right? And the thing that's interesting is we're past the point of like, you don't need, when you're in your 20s, right? You're like looking for who's going to be the baby daddy and the good provider and all that stuff. And now it's kind of like, I don't need a baby daddy. I don't need a provider. Like, I got all that. I'm doing all that stuff myself, right? That does not mean that you don't want a partner, somebody to share your life with. But I thought it was really interesting too, how many of the women, I mean, first of all, maybe this sounds really corny, but I mean, it kind of breaks your heart. Like, I mean, you realize, like, there's so many divorces in the world, and then you would see some of these women on there who their husband was the love of their lives and died, right? And then, like, even the first Bachelor, like, he was crazy about his wife, and then, she died, and then you're thrown into this whole thing, or like this Bachelor where he was like, "I was married for 25 years," like, he was like, "I liked being married," and so a lot of it isn't totally by choice, and it's not just about, like, somebody ended up getting divorced, but the woman who, because I just watched Bachelor. I just watched the Women Tell All, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And who was the one, she made it to like, really towards the end, the one with the long dark hair that came in on the motorcycle?
Yeah, Cheryl.
Right,
Yeah,
right? And
yes.
did she lose her husband? I think she was one of the
Yes,
ones
I
that lost her
believe
husband?
so. I believe so, yeah.
Son's 2 girls were at the Women Tell All, and you could just tell she was so crazy about her son, and she just was so, like, you just feel so bummed for it. I mean, for the ones, because it's like, and people are ditching husbands left and right, and then here these people are actually happy and that the person dies. Like, that's what I think
Yeah,
is really sad,
yeah,
you know, is
definitely.
really is really sad. Now, as we're gonna pop around with all this stuff, if you're gonna have a watch party, see, to me, having a Golden Bachelor watch party, first of all, it's gonna be a couple hours. So I always think of these nights as, you need to plan them like the Super Bowl, because it's
Yeah.
one of those days where you're gonna be there for a while. See, the thing that people don't realize is, with a normal event, like, let's pretend, you're gonna have a Saturday night party and it's gonna be like 7 to 11 on a Saturday. And you're not gonna necessarily end it exactly at 11, but maybe you have a noise thing. But kind of the natural arc of a party is, it's gonna go about 4 hours. Some people are gonna come early, some people are gonna have something beforehand, they're gonna come late. But with this, the reason I say it's like Super Bowl is, you these people are gonna get there a decent amount before kickoff, right? I mean, these girls are not gonna just roll in 1 minute before the finale starts. So there's this kind of whole, like, cocktail hour-ish for the event, and then you're gonna watch the whole event, and then, I don't think anybody's just gonna be like, "Okay, I'm, going home that second." So you've got a little bit of time after. And here's the other thing. To me, these are big boozing nights, right? If I'm like just hanging out with the girls and doing something like this, so therefore that's another reason why I liken it to the Super Bowl, because it's like, you want people to eat. The last thing you need is people coming from work, because it's going to be on a Wednesday, right? So you're coming from work, and you probably haven't had dinner, and now you're like boozing it up, because that's going to be one of the tips to have a great watch party, right? Is to have some fabulous beverages like cocktails or mocktails. But you got to feed these people. So what do you think are some key things to have at the Golden Bachelor watch parties for anybody who wants to plan one?
Yeah, it's so funny as you're talking, I'm thinking about how I prepare people for dating.
Yeah.
Although I would never recommend a 4-hour first date. So I'll just put
No.
it out
Okay.
there.
Okay. Good. Good.
Right, right. But I always say, like, even before the party begins,
Hmm.
I think it's super important to have that mindset. Like, it's almost like getting date prep ready, but like
Yeah.
social prep ready. Like, put
Great point.
on an outfit that makes you feel fantastic. You never know who you're going to meet at these
Yep.
watch parties.
Yep.
And I think that's a big thing that, like, for anything, people go in thinking, oh, it's just a watch party or
No.
it's
Yeah.
just the Super Bowl.
Right.
Think about it as a way to network. Think about it
Totally.
as a way to connect with other humans. I
Right.
mean, we're all looking for that, like, sense of community. And what I love about the watch party is that you have 4 hours where you can build a connection with somebody, especially
Completely.
when it's topic related. So that's
Totally.
another thing that I love about, like, the watch party, is that there's always a theme to it. So, like, for the Golden
Yes.
Bachelor, think about it. hopefully there'll be like a lot of single people coming to the watch party. So
Yep.
you're getting date prep ready. You come in with a fabulous outfit. You already are in the mood. Well, now you can start talking about your single life and maybe what
Hmm.
you're looking for, maybe some of the things that are hard in your single life. And
Yeah.
that's what connects people is when you get in that state of vulnerability. That's what's so brilliant about a watch party because you already have things to talk about.
Well,
So,
you're unified over a common interest. Again,
exactly.
like the Super Bowl. The cool thing is now during the Super Bowl, the commercials you really want to pay attention and watch. During the Golden Bachelor, like no shade, I don't know who's gonna, what's gonna be featured, but I don't think anybody's really gonna be there for the commercials. So to me, like another party tip is to have kind of layered entertainment. That's like one of my evergreen tips where
Love that.
you want things for everybody to do no matter what. Like, let's say somebody's happily married and they don't want to be in the conversation with two women who are like talking about the dating thing, but they're friends with everybody. They want to be at the watch party. But or they're diehard fans. One of the things I always think is amazing and fun is trivia. Like to me, whether you have trivia or you have bingo and you have like fun prizes, like to me, I think they had some fun prizes, which we're not going to mention on this podcast because we will get shut down, when they had that little pajama party and everybody got their own fun prize. So we're not gonna go there, but you know what I'm talking about
Right.
if you've watched the show. But that makes it great. So during the commercials, if you can roll out some trivia like who got the first impression rose the first time
Love it.
around, or how tall do you think so and so is? Like just crazy stuff, or who won the comedy night deal. Like even though I saw it, I forget kind of who won. So fun things like that.
Yeah.
And then the host can have prizes, and I'm also a big one kind of on the potluck aspect of doing events. Like just if you're the one that ends up hosting the event, you don't have to feel like you can shoulder the burden, right? So you can say to your girlfriends, "Hey, can you please bring 5, you know, like Starbucks gift certificates or 5 fun prizes or, 5 golden chocolate roses, I don't know, whatever it would be." Or you can have it be like a potluck. Like, okay, you bring all the cocktails and the, bubbly champagne with edible glitter and you bring the food. So you're kind of shouldering the burden. So it's not like the person who has to host the watch party has got to do everything. Would you agree?
Oh my God, absolutely. And I think that again, it's a chance to kind of also, so I'm coming from the standpoint of being an image consultant and a therapist. Like if you're a little more introverted
Yeah.
and going to parties are hard for you, I mean, a watch party is fantastic because there's
Yes.
things to do. So all the things that you're naming are so perfect for introverts, honestly, because it will break the ice. And then from an image consultant standpoint, besides dressing the part, I mean, I'm even thinking too, you could do things where you can wear costumes. So like at my
Oh, totally.
dating, right? Like at my dating retreat, I am having everyone dress up like they're going to the ball or
Oh,
like
I
gown
love
so
it.
that they're getting into the mood when they're meeting each other. And then we'll probably change costumes when we go out in the town. And I'm going to have them wear cowboy hats. And then there's this like playful side where they have to
Right.
interact with humans, that kind of thing. So I love the watch party. It's just like a container where you can do all these different things where you can practice connecting with people. You can, practice like your social skills, your
Right,
flirt
right,
skills, and
right.
also just get you in that playful, fun state.
Right. Well, it's funny that you say that about introverts because while I'm not an introvert, I as an event well, as an event planner,
Yeah.
I absolutely my job is to make sure whether you're an introvert, an extrovert, like, the town drunk, whatever, that you're gonna have a good time and you're gonna interact with everybody else, like, and play nicely, right? And so that's why I always say it's so important for the host or hostess to you know, greet people at the door of somebody being like, "Hi," like, just reaffirming to them that
Yeah.
they're in the right place, whether they're you could be a total extrovert and still not fun to always walk in and be like, "Okay, I don't know anybody, like, is this where the party is? Is it in the backyard?" That kind of thing. And so I think you're talking to introverts and I'm saying like be inclusive, but it's be inclusive for that reason. I love it. And I think also it's kind of like these days, we have no attention span. So I do think it's kind of fun to be able to watch the TV, to watch the segment and then break for a commercial and have it be like station identification kind of, where it's like trivia or something like that. Or you could even do something fun in a commercial break about like have two people like play charades. Like okay, which
Yes.
character, you know what I mean? Like which two women are they being? And
Yes.
like with mannerisms and or catchphrases. The one that really sticks out to me always, I just think she's freaking hilarious, is Susan from the first season of
Oh,
The
yeah.
Golden Bachelor.
Yeah.
And that woman has the best personality. She is so fun.
Mhm.
She ran kind of the pajama party, right?
Yep,
When
yep.
she showed up. And what's the other woman's name? I
Kathy.
forgot.
Kathy.
Kathy.
Well, actually,
Kathy
they have
is
a podcast. Yeah,
the
together.
two of them do?
They do. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, we got to
Yeah.
call them. But well, that brings me to, they were great. I mean, they really were
Yeah.
like kind of almost like the dating coaches, like you're being on this podcast, right? They were like telling the ladies that they're like, don't forget to kiss him. And then I loved how I think it was at the Women Tell All where they were like, you kind of gave everybody the same advice. So every woman was like macking on the guy. But what do you think about having a watch party and having everybody show up in their pajamas or
I
have
think
it
it's great.
everybody? I mean, I think it's super
Oh my
comfy
God.
and
See, again, like it's themed. So looking at like the Golden Bachelor, they do different activities with everybody. You could even tell people beforehand to bring different outfits for the different activities. And
oh, that'd be awesome,
right.
right?
So when they have the pajama party, everyone puts on the pajamas. When they have the cheerleading scene, everyone puts
Oh,
on their
that's hilarious.
it brings out your inner cheerleader, right? So, there's just so much creativity that you could do. And I think, and again, just from my standpoint, I
Right.
think it really helps people build their just like sexy confidence with
Completely.
all of
Completely.
it.
Well, Lynn, let's face it, being like, kind of on the other side of the sun here, you could say show up as as your favorite cheerleader or as the cheerleader you
Right.
want to be or whatever, and then have something for the middle and then wrap it up with you end in your pajamas. So at the end of the night, you're kind of ready for bed. That to me would be heaven. I'd be like, I'm going to bring my little bag and I'd be like with my micellar water or micellar water, whatever it's called, at the end of the night, taking my
Yeah.
makeup off. And I'd be like, thank you very much. But you brought up when we were talking, I think of that pillow fight that they had. And,
Oh, right.
not that you have to have a pillow fight in the middle of the party, but I hate to say it, you might want to consider it because the photos would be so amazing, right? There's
Oh, I
nothing
think
better than
cute.
sparklers or
Yeah.
like feathers flying. And that's kind of one of my other evergreen tips, whether it's a Golden Bachelor watch party or it's a regular event, is you've got to have some kind of photo moment. I mean, even if you don't have like the photo booth, you've got to have something where people can take photos in front of, Golden Bachelor would be great. The step and repeat, or you can do funny stuff that people can have, but got to have some photo moments. And let me tell you, want some good ones. As I say, feathers out of a pillow. There are a few things better. So, do you agree, or what do you think?
Oh my God, are you kidding me? I love all of this. We're speaking the same language. Instead of feathers, you could even put like glitter
Oh yeah,
inside
well,
and like
as
prove the glitter.
yeah. In fact, you could have the host or hostess not know. Like you could be like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll take care of the pillows and all that stuff for the secret pillow fight party." And then really you could put in the pillows, the glitter, and then
Yes.
that hostess would never speak to you again. And you would need to bring your own Dyson to vacuum it all up. But that would be a very good time. And
Yeah.
okay, so what
I
do
love
you
the wait, can I just comment on the photo
yeah,
thing? Because
yeah.
like at my retreats, I do a whole photo shoot with people. I bring in a
Ooh,
professional photographer and they
ooh,
each get photos for their dating profile. But even if
wow.
they don't use online dating, I do it for the purposes of feeling like just glamorous and,
Yeah,
like seeing yourself in professional photos.
great
It
idea.
changes the way that you view yourself, especially if
Totally.
you don't do that. So, like, even at a watch party, having professional photos like done and
That's
something like
fabulous
that
idea.
would be amazing.
Well, and here's the other thing is whether you have it for a dating app, or let's say you're married and you're not on a dating app, but maybe you're working, or maybe you volunteer, maybe you just need like a headshot update, or guess what? Maybe you just want like a new Instagram or Facebook profile pic,
Yeah.
right? I think that'd be great. So hire a photographer, have a friend who's a good photographer, or like we've been talking about in the office today, do a collab with um with a photographer who is like in exchange is going to do the
Yeah.
photos, and everybody promotes them. And but yeah, you're right, because have them come looking fabulous and just take some really great shots. And I don't know anybody who can't use a couple other versions of like the headshot, whether it's work or not, but even if it's just for social media, it's always nice to have a couple like that.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, and I think just the element of it being professional, just it
Yes.
takes it to a little bit of different level. And,
Yes.
a lot of people aren't comfortable in front of the camera and
No.
just getting used to that, but then having those, memories from the watch party, I think is great.
Well, plus it's gonna be a great party, so everybody's gonna be
Yeah.
having fun, and as we know, smile, like, when you smile, that is so great. Nothing like and then having the confidence of having other chicks there, and then having a little bit of booze, you're really feeling good, right? And then next big tip for any event you do is you have to have great lighting. So,
Oh,
the easiest lighting, I mean, so many people like, this is, like, the biggest mistake people make that I just wanna, like, wring their necks is at any kind of event, and I mean, really, unless you're doing surgery of some type, you don't want bright light. And people just you forget how important the lighting is. And one thing I'm so psycho about always is lighting, and like in my house, anything I remodel is the lighting has to be on dimmers, right? I don't care if it's the bathroom lighting, it's got to be on dimmers. And if you just have your living room lighting on dimmers, or God forbid, you don't have them on dimmers, freaking turn the lights off and have just 5 million candles, because that is the most flattering light there is,
oh.
that amber hue. So cut the lights, everybody, and have the glow of the TV and a lot of candles if you must. But yeah, no
Again,
bright
this
lights.
relates to dating. Well, I think lighting either way, right? Like if you're in front of the camera, you want the lighting is our friend, ladies. We
Yes.
want the bright light,
Lighting in the right but in the right spot.
but
You
in the
don't
right
want
spot.
shadows,
Yes.
and that's
Yeah.
the thing is that people don't realize is, you've got shadows, and all of a sudden you could go from, "Wow, I thought my makeup looked great," to now, "Ooh, I think I look 1,000 years old," you know?
Yeah, exactly. No, but to your point that the ambiance
Mhm.
is so important. Like I always am against telling people to go on coffee dates for the reason. And what's interesting about that, and it's actually something that you're bringing up, is that people have a different attitude when there's bright light at Starbucks
I never
versus
thought of that. You're right. I mean,
yeah,
I
versus
thought of it I
like a
thought of it in
lounge, and it's kind of sexy and it's warm and there's candles. You
right.
act differently. You just
Yeah.
do. So the
I mean,
lighting creates a mood and a feeling that is like, I know you didn't even realize it, but just in terms of the romance and the
right.
softness, I think, and even if it's just all girls, it doesn't matter. It brings
Oh
people in
god,
a
yeah.
calmer place.
Obviously, I thought of it in terms of, like, lighting in terms of events or something, and I've certainly thought of it in terms of, like, McDonald's has very bright lighting. Well, they do that intentionally because 'cause you're not supposed to be, like, staying and lingering and hanging out,
Ah,
right? That's all
yeah.
part of the color
Interesting.
story and the plastic seats and all that stuff, because the idea is not to hang around. But I never really thought of it as that's why you don't want a coffee date, because, of course, like, a coffee place is probably going to be, you know yeah, the lighting. So then how do you do it if you don't want it to, like, I guess, I mean, you have a drink with somebody, but I just how do you do it so that you don't feel like, "Oh my god, I'm here for 4 hours for the dinner," you know? Do you just
Yeah,
say,
that's
"Hey, let's have
why
a drink?"
oh yeah, that's why I love happy hours, like that's perfect. You don't
Yeah.
want a big long dinner date
Yeah.
where there's also an obstruction between the two of you and it's very formal. It's just odd.
Right.
Like that's why I love sitting at a bar, you're next to each other, you can be
Yeah.
cozy.
Yeah.
The body language and the way
Yeah.
that you look at each other is super important. And like even at watch parties, like where you put chairs, like
Oh, yeah.
where you place people. Again, it's a metaphor to everything. So you can have control over that environment that will dictate the mood.
Love it. Now, what do you think for this watch party? Do you think it should they be co-ed, or should the chicks just like, because here's the thing. Many men basically every man I know is like, "Oh, I wouldn't want to admit that you watched that," like to another guy, right? Or that they have to watch it with their girlfriend or their wives or whatever. So do you bring the guys, or do you just say, "Listen, let the chicks be chicks," or do you have it be co-ed and then assume that the guys are kind of going to be rolling their eyes, or half of them are going to be in the other room? Like, what do you do?
I mean, I think it's a yes and. I think it's more about the intent and the purpose of the watch party and what you're trying to accomplish. Like if you're combining a watch party with a singles event, which actually I almost did in Denver with Love is Blind, but
I love Love is Blind.
I know. We could talk about that too. So that, because Denver, the cast was from Denver.
Yeah,
so I do regular media there. And that's what we were going to do, a watch party with a speed dating event. So like, obviously you're going to have men and women there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if the purpose is like for a Galentine's Day, you know, then you're going to want like the coziness of women. I think it's just a matter of really going in with that intent and purpose.
Well, and you brought up a great thing. I thought of that as far as Galentine's Day, and I was like, you're exactly right, because all these tips that we're talking about apply for Galentine's Day too. You know, I mean, all that kind of like, where you want to have, easy finger food that's not going to be too drippy, messy, but that's potentially going to fill people up if they're drinking. Always have a signature cocktail and the option for a mocktail. Always have like minimum one opportunity for like the fun photo backdrop or the props, that type of thing. And then for events like this, whether it's Super Bowl, Galentine's, watch parties, keep in mind you're going to have people for a longer chunk of time. And then making sure you have something kind of that layered entertainment of, it's bingo, it's trivia, it's stuff going on, during the commercials, or to keep people's attention. But I love your idea of bringing the different outfits to change into, or like reenacting some of those things. I think that is just freaking genius and hilarious, quite frankly. What else do you think, like, how do people, because it's coming up, right? So what do you do? Do you send the paperless post invite, or do you just text your girlfriends with like a fun meme? What do you do? How do you get the word out?
I know. Well, it depends. Like if you're a professional, obviously you can start marketing it and do like, email. But I think if you're just keeping it with your girlfriends or your family, I mean, I know I'm so old school, but I mean, Evite, you could do the old school Evite.
Right,
I mean,
right.
It still works. And what I like about the Evite is that now it's like hooked up to the phone. So you get these texts, I just think people respond to text. I mean, I've even seen people organize parties through WhatsApp as well, and doing just like groups. So again, it depends on how large you want it. Like if it's this big event, I think a formal invitation is really nice. And there's so many like different softwares for that, or the old school mail. Right. I mean, that's kind of cute.
Well, the thing is that you're right about like whether it's Evite or paperless post, that they can go to your email, and then it can also go to your cell phone. But the other kind of thing is, if you do bite the bullet, and even if you're like, hey, I'm only inviting 15 people or something, what I like about those things is that you can start loading up your friends, right? And then it can sort of be like Build-A-Bear, like you build your party list, because you can keep reusing lists from other stuff you've done. Or if you're just sending out your holiday Christmas card, you're going to start having everybody, if you send it electronically or something, you're kind of biting the bullet.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I love these ideas. And I think at the end of the day, it's just important to recognize that, not everybody is going to be the Love is Blind, 27-year-old candidate. Although I'd have to say, like, I love Married at First Sight and all those shows. But I do think they're really onto something with this Golden Bachelor. And what do you think? Do you think the next one is going to be a Golden Bachelorette, or do you think it's going to stay a Golden Bachelor? What do you think?
Oh, they usually follow suit. I mean, if they're following the pattern that they did before, then they'll do another Golden Bachelorette next. Yeah. But I think the regular Golden Bachelorette, because I forgot her name, the one who was Mormon from the Mormon, that reality show. Oh, I
Oh,
forget.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They already picked her. So I think that one might be next. But the Goldens, I think it should be the next Golden Bachelorette. And they're saying that Debbie should be the next Golden
And which
Bachelorette.
one was Debbie again?
Debbie was the one that was sent home from Denver.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah,
last, and so it was down to 3.
yeah.
She was the one that,
Oh, I
yeah,
loved her. I
a
mean,
lot of people do.
at first I thought she had crazy eyes, but then, and I was like, oh my God, this one is going to be, but then, oh my gosh, talk about, don't judge a book by its cover, because then you realize, oh my gosh, this poor woman, like the guy committed suicide and what, I mean, that was like so, so sad. But yeah, I'm just pushing. Was her name Carol? Like, which one was maybe just because the Dodgers just won the World Series, I'm thinking of Freddie Freeman, but was it Carol Freeman? What was her name?
Which
The one who
one?
was like the Freeman family manager. Remember her? She had the long blonde hair. Really,
Carol.
Carol. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
was
Carol.
Carol.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. She went home on her own. Is that the one you're
yeah.
talking about? Yeah,
Oh, that's right. She went home
yeah,
on her own. That's right.
yeah.
She said it wasn't their good. I mean, that was pretty gutsy of her. Just be like, yeah, see ya. I don't know.
Yeah, I have reasons why I think that happened. And again, like
Oh,
there's
you
so much
do?
to
What are your
unpack.
reasons?
Well, so I had like, when I dissect the different cast
Yeah.
of characters, like I'm looking at it as a therapist point of view. And I don't know if we want to even get into the weeds now. We can certainly do another show on this. But, like I think that everybody had a different reason for where they are, like I was almost like predicting before Mel was giving a rose, who was going to get a rose, who didn't.
Yeah.
But I'm just like looking from that kind of standpoint.
Yeah.
And what was interesting to me at the end of the day is like kind of what you were alluding to. I mean, I think all of them won. And that's what I love about the Golden Bachelor series.
Yeah.
Is that in the end, it doesn't matter who ends up with the Golden Bachelor or Bachelorette. Right. They all felt this sense of sexy confidence. The camaraderie between all the women was just like, it's like nothing else that you see. Like in the other ones, you see the women fighting and they're like loving on each other and supporting each other, rooting for each other. But most of all, and this was the through line in the last, actually in the reunion, they kept saying, I'm so glad I put myself back out there.
Oh, and they all said
that.
Yeah,
they
a lot of them
said that was the through line. And
that was great.
Carol and Cheryl, and like they all had their issues, But at the end of the day, I think now it built their confidence to now hopefully start being more intentional.
Well, and then Lord have mercy. I mean, Susan and Kathy, I mean, my God, talk about a springboard. I mean, those two have like freaking brand new lives. I mean, that is just, I mean, they are really funny, because then they were at the other one. They were like hosting the cocktail party or whatever.
Yeah.
Remember when at the wedding, Gary's wedding? Now, before we wrap up, I have to ask you, speaking of like everybody being super supportive of, what about the Miami yoga teacher? I should have these girls' names.
Nicole.
Okay. I mean, people had a lot to say. I mean, when Debbie went off on her on the women tell all, I was like, Lord have mercy. I mean, I didn't think Debbie had it in her, and she was like, and I was supportive, and you like, what do you think she was in it for him, or do you think she was in it to like, hi, I want to be an influencer?
Nicole is interesting. I like that word because it's
that's very gracious.
It's a safe word, right? To say that I saw trouble with her from the very beginning. And then it was really highlighted when she started making out with Mel in front of everybody in the pool.
Constantly.
Do you remember that scene?
She was always trying to make out with him.
No, but she was the first time we saw it was early on, because there were a lot of people who were like Camp Nicole until that happened. And then you saw everything start shifting and changing. And I read body language. So like watching the women, their body language with Nicole, really, like you just saw the hate is a strong word, but just the negativity, with Nicole. So again, it's all those shows are edited in a certain way. Yes. So the way it was edited, it makes Nicole look like she was in it for being an influencer, right? But we don't know what went on behind closed doors and what we didn't see. But one thing is for sure is that she stirred a lot of people up.
Except Carol Freeman, who at the end is like, oh, okay, we can stop. bashing her. And I'm like, Carol, let's keep the bashing going. No, I mean, but yeah, she did stir a lot of people. But when she took credit for the lemon bars and whatever, that's when
Oh, I
I mean, they're all
know.
like whipping and baking and all this stuff. And then she's like, oh, I made these for you.
And she's
And
sitting in
she's,
the hot tub. Yeah, I
yeah.
know.
And obviously that part about her sitting in the hot tub, that could 100% be edited. That might have been taken
Correct.
place, 4 days before the lemon bars were made. But to your point, the whole piece about being edited is Nicole didn't deny any of that
No.
during the Women Tell All. In fact, she was like, okay, I can see. Okay, I will do better.
And I
Okay,
will
I
do
will do
better.
better.
Yeah,
Right.
she
And I
said,
was,
I will do better. Yeah.
that was like a Chat GPT answer. I swear to you. I think she was like, Dear Chat GPT, I feel like I'm going to go on this reunion thing and I'm going to get hammered. What should I say? And it was like the safest zone is, I will do better. I will do better. And I was like, that did kind of tone it down. I was like, maybe I should start saying, "Man, I'll do
I
better."
will do better.
As my canned line. So, all right, any other tips that you want to toss out there for how to have a Golden Bachelor watch party?
I don't know. We covered a lot and I love this. I feel like you and I need to have one now.
So we're gonna have one. So
Teaser.
spoiler alert, you guys, we are going to end this podcast with KimmySeltzer.com. And Kimmy and I are gonna get off and then talk about how we can have like a watch party. So if you are a follower of this podcast, well, you want to be now. You want to subscribe, you want to like, comment, and tell a friend, because heads up, we're probably going to be revealing something on social media about some kind of watch party that we're doing. So anyway, Kimmy, I cannot thank you enough. And on Instagram, you are Kimmy
At
Seltzer.
Kimmy Seltzer, and all my social handles are at Kimmy Seltzer. And you mentioned my website, KimmySeltzer.com. And then you can catch me on my podcast, which you're going to be on, Charisma Quotient, and now the new one, Dating Real Talk.
I love it. All right, Kimmy, this has been super fun. So we've talked about all these amazing tips to have a fabulous party, Valentine's Day, Super Bowl, watch party, Golden Bachelor. It's been a ball. So everybody, thank you for listening. Again, please remember to subscribe, tell a friend. You can find me at The Party Goddess. And I am Marley Major, your hostess, signing off for another one. All right, Kimmy, let's start dishing. We're going to wrap up this podcast and we're going to start dishing about parties.
I love it.
Thanks.